Hi everyone, hope you can hear me quite well. My name is Igor and I'm the CTO and co-founder of Gateway FM. Before coming to founding this company, I've been a core dev at Ethereum for a while at the Aragon team. If you heard the previous talk, there was quite a lot of talk about the stateless clients, so I worked on those for a while. Now we are also working quite a bit on Polygon zkAVM and Gnosis chain. We are kind of providing a lot of infrastructure towards that. And today I want to actually start with like a tiny demo, and then to give you a little bit of context for this demo. So I'll just exit my presentation. We'll switch here, and we'll do 1, 2, 3 clicks. And go to the dashboard. And what I did right now is I basically started creating my own zk rollup on Ethereum Cipollea. So now we can go back to the slides and hope that it will actually finish provisioning by the end of my speech. So we'll see. And basically, why did I do that right now, and why did we do this service? So we always were thinking at Gateway about the good future for crypto. We founded this company back in early 2021, late 2020. And back then, if you remember, the majority of the Ethereum nodes were in AWS in North America. And we wanted to make an alternative towards that. So we made an RPC provider that explicitly didn't use public clouds. It was reliant on private data centers. And these data centers were also located in European cities. And we had a couple of them in Sweden, a couple of them in Switzerland, some in Germany. Then we added some more. And that was because capturing all the nodes by the same entity, like AWS named, or in the same legislation, is really, really dangerous. It can kind of give the future that's not really good for crypto when there's just a single entity controls everything, right? And right now, in 2023, the situation is much, much better. So we have plenty of infrastructure providers all over the place, from Singapore to Europe to the States, of course. And but now we are going to the next stage of the future, and that's about adoption. And I think, we've been talking about adoption since forever. When I just joined the kind of Ethereum movement in early 2017, everybody was talking about bringing the next billion, getting mass adoption and stuff like this. But right now, it's a bit of a unique thing when we finally have some legislative clarity, at least in some areas, about crypto, and a lot of people are thinking about how to integrate blockchains. And we can kind of think a little bit about of those people in two categories. So one is that I consider myself in, is kind of a crypto native people who are coming from kind of a principled background, who understand how the tech works, and they are already using the good parts of crypto, some extra freedoms it provides, some extra features, some agency. And then, to be honest, this part is kind of in the minority right now. And then there is the second big group of people who are interested in the blockchain somehow, and those are enterprises and institutions. And theoretically, these groups of people can influence much, much more people than just a group on the left. And if we see what's the difference between these groups are, so I would say that it just, of course, I'm simplifying quite a lot here, so don't get offended if you consider yourself in either of this group. But if we're talking about Web3 natives, we're talking about that kind of this censorship resistance, open for everybody, permissionlessness, and other principles like this, like privacy, yada, yada, yada. And if we look at the big companies, like any big company, and maybe if it's a government agency or something like this, the first thing they want is to have control, because they are afraid to let things go because they're afraid to get in trouble. And the second thing they want is to basically be flexible, to have somebody who can tune these things, tune these dials somehow for them, again, to feel in control and safe. And we want a good future for crypto when as many people as possible are using it for, like, to be more open, inclusive, neutral, without censorship and stuff like this. And I think right now we can kind of at a unique phase when both enterprises and Web3 natives can finally come together in a good compromise. And I think it's all related to zk technologies. Of course, again, zk is the thing that we've been talking to, and it was a hot topic for quite a while, right? Probably a couple of years already. It was one of the hottest topics. But we only this year, we got finally the first serious deployments of this in production. So only right now you can come and just show that, OK, it's not just a proof of concept of a proof that lies at a 5 megabytes JSON file on my computer, but there's also the whole system, like the zk rollups, like of zk sync, of Polygon, that actually take these proofs, verify them, use them in the sync, use them in the bridges. And why I think zk can power something good. So to me, the future probably will look somewhat like this. And the good future will look, for me, would be when we have really good layer ones, like Gnosis chain or Ethereum, that are spread around the globe well, that have like huge, vast validator sets that cannot be captured by like a single entity. And then we do a lot of kind of a customized layers on top of that. And that's useful because these layers will still give the sense of kind of a control and flexibility towards enterprise and government users, for instance, but they will still be settled on Ethereum or Gnosis chain, on this kind of neutral network that are built with principles that the community always had, right? And how will zk actually help with that? And that's a really good question. And I wanted to just tell a little bit about the user agency in zk rollups. And to talk about it, basically we need to talk about what is zk proof, what does zk proof proves in a zk rollup. If we're talking about just a normal blockchain, we have the consensus that verifies that every transaction, it kind of satisfies a certain set of rules. These rules could be that, oh, your signature is valid, the money that you transferred you did have on your account, so, or the asset that you own is actually your asset, and yada yada. There's a lot of rules like this, and there's just generic rules of EVM. And what does the layer 1 do? They basically take all the transactions, and every node re-executes this transaction, and basically they validate this proof by just re-executing, because if somebody malicious does something strange, your node just will not take this transaction. It will reject because it will have another result. In zkL2, the same set of rules is actually, yeah, it's being tested and verified by the zk proofs. So there is a zk proof that generates that every transaction that since Genesis happened on this layer 2 always were adhering to this set of rules, plus the rules of the EVM engine. And they generate a proof. But the important part here is that this proof is then getting verified on an L1. Right? So it's not L2 generates this proof, and it's kind of challenges L1. And L1 has actually this script that checks that the proof that you gave to it actually adhere to this, all of these rules. And that means that in this case, layer 1 has a big influence over like a layer 2 operator, because what's happening on layer 1, basically, let's say if I'm a malicious actor and I want to tweak something in my rollup, then it's mathematically impossible for me to get a proof that will be accepted by the layer 1. And what's important, the verifier of this layer 1 is very tightly connected to the bridge. And then if you are, as a customer, like sending transactions or you're locking your ETH into zk-powered bridge, that means that if there is a malicious agent on another side, it has way, way less power over you than like in a normal case. So that means that if we have good layer 1s, very distributed, really nice ones, then it means that with these zk technologies, we can bring quite a lot of these properties of user agency to the layer 2s, regardless of how decentralized they are. And again, for institutions that want control and stuff, they will unlikely be really decentralized. But there is a problem, of course, that, of course, the good future is zk, but it's not always that the best tech is the tech that wins the market, right? To have a chance to kind of compete on this market, your tech should be convenient, primarily. We see this quite a lot, let's say, with JavaScript nowadays. I don't know if you're all front-end developers and will hate me right now, but I'd say that JavaScript was never designed to build desktop applications from it or to build mobile apps from it. But since it was really convenient with a good developer documentation, with the good tools around this one that actually won everything, and now every second app on your Mac or on your Windows is Electron, and every second app on your phone is React Native. But that means that the tech needs to be convenient. And also, I would say that this tech, it actually needs to be built by somebody who cares about principles. So because if you can encode those principles very early in the tech, and then it's very convenient to use, so enterprises and institutions will use it, that means that these principles will be, for these enterprises and institutions, very hard to change afterwards. And that's where my demo actually finally comes into fruition, because what we are building right now and what we're announcing right now, and actually launching, not just announcing, at Gateway is the thing that we call Presto. And it's a next step into what we call the good future for like blockchain community. Basically, right now it's a building block when you can create your own zk rollup in minutes, which could be public, semi-private, but they still will settle on Ethereum or Gnosis chain or similar chains. And we are kind of in the unique position because we are also contributing quite a lot towards zkAVM implementation. So yeah, we know what we're doing. So let's see. And not only there will be not only just the rollup. Of course, you can pick where you put your stuff. Maybe it's AWS, maybe it's a private data center, maybe it's some of the public clouds. You will get managed RPCs from there. You can get custom fee model. You already get a bridge, and like a lot of. We are not trying to kind of do it just by ourselves. We are having on board quite a lot of partners. So these are the partners that we already talked to and discussed. There are some, because to build an actual useful thing, you need to bring a lot of technologies together to build it. And it might be like a KYC, it might be some data availability stuff, oracles like Redstone, maybe some NFT APIs or automations like Gelato, and of course something like for account abstraction like Gnosis Safe. So basically, this is a little bit of how it looks like, but let's see if my rollup actually did provision. So yeah, it did. So you see it here. So I started it about, give or take, 13 minutes ago. And now it's live rollup on a zkAVM rollup. Oh, sorry, zkAVM Validium on Sepolia. And you can do the same if you go to our website and just, well, I'll do the worst thing that our team will hate me for. I'll try to actually test that it works. So let's see, I have this thing here, which is just a valid address. And let's see if the faucet, oh yeah, the faucet works for sure, because it's a testnet, and you can go to the block explorer already, and you have the first transaction of 1 Ether to the address I sent. So it's actually a live L2, like provisioned within like 13 minutes and 3 clicks. And that's what I'm talking about, that the tech should be quite convenient. So today, you can go to presto.gateway.fm and just repeat what I did and try to get your own zk Validium running. It's going to be free, and since it's free, you will not have a real working prover there because they are too expensive right now to give out for free. So if you want a real prover there, then you can contact us and we'll provision it. We also can provision mainnet. So far, it's only through contact us forms. Later this year, we are planning to launch mainnets as well with the billing where you can use your crypto or credit card or invoice, normal business invoicing. If you want to see some updates on this, you can always subscribe to our Twitter or X right now for the updates. And then you can always, as I told, you can try it now. I think you can create one for free. Of course, it's a beta launch. It's a test, so you might break it as well. But that's it. So I think that's what I wanted to say. And let's leave a little bit more time for questions.
Thank you, Igor. We have a few minutes for questions. We have a question up there. We have a microphone. Just give us 1 second.
Hey, very cool presentation. Thank you. I was wondering, obviously, Polygon zk EVM is really cool, but recently we saw a lot of adoption from OP-Stack, like a lot of projects launching there. Do you think choosing zk EVM is a bit like leapfrogging, beaming us straight into the future, or where do you think OP-Stack sits here?
I mean, I think OP-Stack is a good intermediate step, but what's the big difference between, like, in general, optimistic rollups and zk rollups, and why I think it's important that zk rollups the zk rollups provider has to provide a proof that every transaction on the chain is actually valid according to the rules, like every transaction, regardless of what's happening. And optimistic rollups, they kind of think that's all right. Everything is OK unless you challenge us somehow. Of course, this challenge could be with automated as well. But still, I think to me as an engineer, it's a much more neat solution when you actually, I am as a potential malicious entity, will have to prove to you that I didn't break the rules. I think it's much better than you trying to catch me red-handed or some third entity trying to catch me red-handed. So we really like zk rollups. And why we choose in particular the Polygon zk EVM is that was the only something that you can call a zk EVM in production at that point in time. And we actually did quite thorough testing by taking Ethereum node, ripping off the Merkle tree, putting the same Merkle tree that Polygon zk EVM had, and running this the whole Hermes or Polygon zk EVM mainnet on like a vanilla EVM, and then the root hashes actually did match. So it has a pretty good bytecode compatibility. We didn't find, apart from what's written on their wiki, we didn't find any big differences in how bytecode is interpreted. So it's a pretty cool achievement.
I saw another hand over here.
Yeah, thanks. Maybe to continue a bit on what you just said, a bit of a general question. Can you make a couple of comments on the current state of zk rollup technology in terms of how big are the proofs, how long does it take to process a proof, and yeah.
Yeah, it's getting better. Like right now, we have something that can be in production that can actually prove something like Ethereum blocks or layer 2 blocks every, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour, like everything in them, using these recursive proofs and stuff like this. It's still very expensive to run servers that can do proving. And but let's say right now to run a prover, and we have our head of infra here, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but you need to have like at least half a terabyte of RAM. That's the absolute. Okay, 700 gigabytes of RAM. You need like a server for that. It used to be that it was over a terabyte. So it's getting better, and with the new technologies, with thing that's at least the guys in Polygon called variable size state machines, it will be even better. But so far, yeah, to make it, so far it's just expensive, but it's, I think it's good. Yeah.
Any other questions for Igor over here?
Yeah.
Thank you. I believe you mentioned that so far the project is active on a testnet. I was just curious if you have any stats you could share on projects that showed interest in using this tool to ship their own app-specific rollups and.
Yeah, we have a couple. Like again, it was opened, kind of opened, and kind of first version was launched basically today. That means that we don't yet have any stats on this version, but we have the previous version when we semi-manually were provisioning rollups, and we have two interesting customers. One of them is called NosisPay, that is currently running in a very kind of old installation on OP stack that we provisioned way back in the spring, right? And then we have another, it's called Palm Network, which is a kind of NFT-based network where we are doing the transition of them being this private chain on Hyperledger Bezo into a zk rollup. So these are two clients, and we're talking to a couple of more, but those I cannot share.
Time for one more question. If not, then let's give it up for Igor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.